As we approach the final months of 2023, an intriguing and pressing question weighs heavily on the minds of homeowners and potential buyers. Is the housing market teetering on the brink of a crash before the year's end? Behind the scenes, a complex web of hidden secrets and intricate strategies is at play, concealed from public view. In this gripping expose, we delve into the shadows, uncovering what banks don't want you to know about the precarious state of the real estate market, from speculative bubbles to interest rate manipulations. This video leaves no stone unturned. Let's get started. Over the past 2 years, it appeared as though the trajectory of house prices was an unstoppable ascent, defying any notion of a downturn. They continued to surge relentlessly, leaving observers astounded by the remarkable absence of any significant dips. This period marked one of the most substantial upswings in the annals of the real estate market. For those fortunate enough to have secured mortgages during this period, they inadvertently made one of the most prudent decisions of their lifetime. Not only did the value of their mortgages appreciate significantly, but they also benefited from historically low mortgage interest rates, amplifying the overall financial gains. In recent months, a discernible shift has occurred in the real estate landscape. The once unwavering trajectory of house prices has begun to show signs of instability. In fact, there are growing concerns that this prolonged upswing may be on the verge of a substantial correction or even a burst. Adding to this uncertainty, mortgage rates have witnessed an upward trend, diverging from the previously favorable low rates. When the global pandemic struck, the Federal Reserve became deeply concerned about the state of the economy. In response, they took the proactive measure of lowering interest rates. This deliberate reduction had a cascading effect on the mortgage market, resulting in historically low mortgage rates. This, in turn, ignited a surge in demand for real estate as borrowing became more affordable. However, this heightened demand has been met with a persistent issue: a limited supply of available homes. We all know what happens when there's high demand and low supply. When there's high demand for a product or service and a limited supply, prices tend to increase. This principle holds in the real estate market as well. The combination of increased demand for homes due to low mortgage rates and a shortage of available properties has led to a notable increase in house prices in many areas. And now, following 2 years of robust home sales and substantial home price appreciation, the once sizzling housing market began to lose its momentum last summer and has since slowed considerably. The primary catalyst for this slowdown can be attributed to a notable surge in mortgage interest rates. This upward trend in rates commenced in March 2022 when the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage exceeded the 4% mark. Subsequently, it reached a 2-decade high of 7% in October and has remained in the mid-6% range throughout 2023. As a result of these interest rates, which are now more than double what they were in 2020 and 2021, coupled with a sharp decline in buyer demand, home prices have experienced a decline. After 2 years of unprecedented sales activity, the question naturally arises: does this scenario raise concerns that the housing market is teetering on the brink of a potential crash? Before we plunge further into this fascinating journey, you can become part of our community by hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel. Now, let's continue. The signs of a potential U.S. housing bubble are becoming more pronounced. While the sharp increase in home prices alone may not necessarily indicate a bubble, it's crucial to consider a range of fundamental factors. These factors encompass shifts in disposable income, the cost of credit and its accessibility, disruptions in the housing supply, and the escalating costs of labor and raw construction materials, all of which contribute to the sustained growth in real estate prices. However, the real concern arises when there is a widespread belief that these robust price increases will continue unabated. When the housing market becomes detached from these fundamental economic factors, and many buyers start to share the expectation of ongoing strong house price gains, it can lead to a situation where purchases are driven by a fear of missing out. This in turn can further drive up prices and create an environment of heightened expectations for substantial house price increases, potentially forming the conditions for a housing bubble. Is the U.S. housing market genuinely experiencing a bubble? When we consider the traditional markers of a bubble, 3 key characteristics emerge: price growth driven by speculative forces, reliance on significant credit expansion, and an eventual burst. However, when analyzing the remarkable surge in house prices through 2021, it becomes evident that the primary catalysts for this increase were not primarily rooted in speculation or credit expansion. Instead, they were largely attributed to record low mortgage rates and a substantial shift in housing demand. Let's look at how today's market is different from the 2008 housing market crash. Today's real estate landscape differs significantly from the conditions leading up to the 2008 housing market crash in several ways. One of the significant distinctions between today's housing market and the 2008 housing crash lies in the significantly tighter lending standards that prevail today. These stricter lending criteria are a direct result of the hard-earned lessons from the previous crisis and the implementation of new regulations. Essentially, this means that individuals who are approved for mortgages in the present era are far less likely to default compared to those approved during the lending practices of the pre-2008 period. Leading up to the Great Recession, the housing market was characterized by a series of concerning factors. Firstly, there was a rapid credit expansion, with lenders extending loans to borrowers who might not have met the stricter criteria of today. Second, there was an increase in leverage, where homeowners borrowed heavily against the value of their homes. Third, there was an overly optimistic expectation of perpetual house price growth, which did not materialize. One notable financial instrument that contributed to the crisis was the adjustable rate mortgage. Unlike a fixed-rate mortgage, an ARM's interest rate changes periodically after an initial fixed-rate period. This means that homeowners who had taken out ARMs in the years leading up to the 2008 crisis found themselves facing a payment shock when the interest rates reset. Many of these homeowners were unable to manage the significantly higher monthly mortgage payments, leading to defaults and foreclosures. In contrast, today's lending environment places a stronger emphasis on borrowers' ability to repay their loans, reducing the likelihood of a similar widespread mortgage default crisis. The tightened lending standards and increased scrutiny of borrowers' financial stability serve as important safeguards. The tightened lending standards and increased scrutiny of borrowers' financial stability serve as important safeguards against the excesses and risky lending practices that contributed to the 2008 housing crash. Another critical difference between the housing market of 2008 and today is the prevalence of fixed-rate mortgages among borrowers. This shift has significant implications. Even though mortgage rates have doubled recently, current homeowners are experiencing no alteration in their monthly principal and interest payments. Fixed-rate mortgages offer stability and predictability, shielding homeowners from the payment shock that adjustable-rate mortgages caused during the previous crisis. Additionally, the equity position of today's homeowners contrasts markedly with that of homeowners during the 2008 housing crisis. Nowadays, a substantial number of homeowners have built equity in their homes. This equity can act as a financial buffer in case of a housing downturn. In stark contrast, during the late stages of 2009, nearly a quarter of U.S. homeowners found themselves underwater, meaning they owed more on their mortgages than the actual value of their homes. This precarious situation left many vulnerable to financial distress and foreclosure. However, it's essential to acknowledge that the current housing market faces its own set of challenges. Factors such as high mortgage rates, inflated home values, reduced buyer demand, and the potential for a recession create a complex landscape. With mortgage rates reaching levels not seen since the early 2000s and affordability at a record low, many prospective buyers are either priced out of the market or hesitant to make purchases due to fears of home price declines. These factors underscore the need for a careful and informed approach when navigating today's housing market. Is there a looming housing market crash on the horizon? First, current housing prices remain around 5 to 6% higher than they were at this time last year. While there has been a decline from earlier this year, prices are still above the levels seen last year. Therefore, that doesn't qualify as a full-blown crash. For homeowners who purchased their properties in 2020 or 2021, there's a degree of reassurance. The value of their homes, although possibly experiencing some depreciation recently, remains higher than their original purchase price. Comparing the current situation to the last time the U.S. housing market exhibited such exuberance, which was in the mid-2000s, reveals an important contrast. During that period, home values experienced a catastrophic crash, leading to dire consequences. The burst of the real estate bubble triggered a global economic downturn on par with the Great Depression. Now, with the housing market facing threats like soaring mortgage rates and the possibility of a recession, there is the potential for prices to decline. However, any downturn is unlikely to be as severe as the one witnessed during the Great Recession. The lessons learned from that period, coupled with a more robust lending environment and a higher percentage of homeowners with equity in their homes, may mitigate the extent of any potential decline. Regardless, it's prudent for both buyers and sellers to remain cautious and informed in this dynamic housing market. What can we anticipate for the housing market in the aftermath of an economic recession? This question holds significant relevance, and the outlook hinges on several key factors. Interest rate dynamics. As the broader economy experiences a slowdown during a recession, we typically observe a decrease in longer-term interest rates, including mortgage rates. This transition from elevated rate levels can stimulate housing market activity. Moderation in home prices. Simultaneously, there is often a shift towards more tempered home price growth. This can make housing more affordable for potential buyers, enhancing their ability to enter the market. Demographic influences. Another factor to consider is the influence of demographic trends. As certain age groups reach prime home buying years, their demand for housing can help drive market activity. In light of these factors, there is an expectation that more prospective homebuyers will re-enter the housing market in the years following a recession. However, the extent of this resurgence in demand will depend on two critical variables: the degree to which mortgage rates decline and the severity of the recession itself. A milder recession coupled with substantial reductions in mortgage rates is likely to spur stronger demand compared to a more severe economic downturn. The interplay of these factors will ultimately shape the trajectory of the post-recession housing market. The real estate market is ever evolving, and while changes may arise, it also presents opportunities. Whether you're a homeowner, prospective buyer, or investor, being proactive and adaptable is key to navigating the dynamic world of real estate. What do you think? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you found this video informative, like and subscribe for more insightful content. Thanks for watching.